name is Nicole Birch. Welcome back to The Funny Thing Is, where I've got a special guest for you today. Not only is she a writer, executive producer, and showrunner of some of your favorite shows, one of mine being Two Broke Girls, then there's The King of Queens, The Connors. I'm trying to think of anything else. She also created the show Pivoting, which stars one of our other guests for the podcast, Eliza Coop. And not only that, she wrote one of my favorite mom books on the planet. It is Don't Wait Up, Confessions of a Stay-at-Work Mom, which we will kind of talk about because there's a chapter I want to talk about in there. Welcome to the show, Liz Astrof.
Thank you.
Yes.
The paperback is just called Stay-at-Work Mom.
Is it?
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the cover, but it's fun.
I love this cover.
I love that cover. The other cover is not.
So it's just Stay-at-Work Mom, and you can get it on Amazon, Barnes & Noble.
Amazon, Barnes & Noble, SimonandSchuster.com.
Yeah.
Yeah, or in like a couple of stores.
It's great. It's a
Thank
series
you.
of stories.
It's like a memoir.
It's a memoir. Your voice in it. And I'm like, so I had my husband read one of my favorite chapters, which is Tim Allen Tried to Kill Me.
Right.
It's phenomenal. So if you're not a mom, that's the one I would recommend because you also get a little insider into the industry,
right,
and how that
right.
works. Also how maybe insane Tim Allen is.
He's pretty insane. We still don't know why that happened.
Because you were working with him on Last Man Standing.
Yeah, but it was like what happened was Jack Bird, at the showrunner, came into my office. I had said to him, if there's anything you want me to do, like, let me know, like take off your hands.
Right. And
I thought like rack checks, like wardrobe, hair, like casting, anything. And he goes, you're coming to Tim Allen's house in an undisclosed location in next week for 4 days. And I was like, no, I'm not. And he goes, yeah, you are. And he just walked away. And then we spent the next, it was fun, me, Jack, Kevin Hench-Marsh. So there were 4 of us. I was the only woman.
Right.
So that we were 100% sure. We wiped off the whiteboard and like any stories that were on there. And we just started like writing down how we were going to die. Like just pitching, like anyone, shovels to the head. I don't think that's going to be it. He's got like a cavalry of guns. Is that what it's called? He's got like he's a survivalist.
Right.
So, okay, put a pin in that.
Like he wasn't ready to kickstart his career again. He just wanted to hunt some writers.
He was bored and wanted to hunt. I mean, that was the only way I could think. Why would he want us there? He didn't even like us.
It's so funny.
So then he, I don't know, should I talk about what happened a little bit?
Yeah, do.
So he said, he needed to know, his assistant came in and needed to know if all of us could eat turkey meatballs and spaghetti and red sauce. And I was like, poisoned.
Yeah.
And then
you had to, by the way, you had
no.
to fly and then drive hours to this location.
And hours and hours and hours. And then over like something called the treacherous path. We had to get to his motorcycle or old car shop in the morning and look at his old motorcycles. And then we were told that we were going to come home on a private jet.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'm definitely not coming home because I'm not someone who's ever going to be on no psychic has ever been like, you will be on a private jet. Never. Not one person.
In the
not
book, you're like, I've asked. I ask all the time.
I do. And no one would even believe it if I said I was.
Right.
So anyway, unless I snuck on. So we go and he had us look at like his childhood home in Denver. We had no idea why. And then we were taken over the treacherous pass, all that stuff, to an undisclosed location. I think it was like Grand Lake or Grand. It was beautiful.
Right.
And he had us, Jack Bird and I were in a guest house, like right off of the crunching gravel driveway, like right across from the house.
Right.
But so it was the first night and we were having the meatballs and spaghetti and I wasn't going to eat it.
Yeah.
But then I realized, looked pretty good.
Last meal.
And I didn't want to be alive alone with him because then it would be drawn out and like whatever. So I ate it and then I got more. I think I licked the pot.
Yeah.
I was like, this is so
if I'm going down, I'm going down.
Yes.
Full.
And then that night I thought I got locked in my room and Jack Bird, it was next to my room and he listens to music and I was trying to pound on the wall and I was like, it's happening, Jack. I'm locked in here, Jack. And then it turns out I just used their luxurious lotion and couldn't open the door. And then the next morning, one more thing that happened was, and anytime we try to walk into town, he would like come out of nowhere and cut us off with his Jeep. Where are you going? It was really crazy. And then we had to watch the Elton John concert with him.
That was the weirdest part for me. Where
I
he was
know.
like, everybody come in, have a seat.
Yeah,
And then
I
just
was in
started
my room.
playing a concert.
Jack and I were in our little guest house, and we heard gravel crunching, and I was like, this is it. And Chris Hench was like, Tim would like you guys in the house. So we went over, and I was, we just sat there just waiting, just watching and waiting, like Elton John, like just every song he played. I was like, am I going to see the next song?
So it's not even like a, hey, do you guys like Elton John?
It was, you were watching this with me, and he came and sat, I think it was in underwear or something, came and sat down. But he also took us out on his boat, and he sped around the lake, and he's like, this is where I put the bodies. And I cackled so loud because my laugh is so loud. It bounced off of every house around the entire giant lake, and came back to us. Oh, no. And then we didn't die that way. We waited to die the entire time. We were sure that I was going to be running through the forest in a wedding dress.
The wedding dress is the funniest part of that.
I don't know. And then I said to Jack, I go, I can't run. Like, I destroyed my knee. And he goes, Liz, I promise you, if you fall, I will hit you over the head with a shovel. And then we made it back on the private jet. It was almost worse than not dying, because we were like, what was this for?
What was the point?
And then he was like a dick. We used to have to go on a coach. We used to have to go on a bus.
Yeah.
His dressing room was a coach bus that was made into a dressing room. We called it the Magical Misery Bus, because we had to go pitch to him.
On the bus?
We had to go onto the bus and pitch to him and get yelled at. So I heard he's nice now. I don't believe that, but.
That's so weird.
I know. And then I got caught. I don't have a huge, great attention to detail or listening to people.
Right.
So I kind of black out. So I was in a room that he had told us not to go in no matter what, which is obviously where he kept the bodies. And I was on the phone with my husband, and I had my feet up on a couch, and I was just lying down, and he's like, I told you not to go in this room. And I was like, 1 second. Anyway, and then he asked me to go on a walk with him. And then it was just and then he said, I hate the name Elizabeth. And I was like, I'll change it.
Like, whatever you
His
need.
daughter, he goes, my daughter's name's Elizabeth. I hate that name. And I was like, well, I'll change both of our names. I can do that. And then it wound up just being a fine walk where he talked about how he missed his dad.
Yeah.
So then we went to the airport, and we got on. But this happened. We were on our way to the airport, and we stopped at this restaurant and this lunch place, and the one guy was outside on his phone, and it was empty. And then he heads back to the door, and I was sitting next to him, and he goes, here they come. And all these people came into the restaurant to ask for his autograph, and I was like, why him? Who cares?
Yeah.
And this woman goes, I'd hate to bother you. And he goes, and yet.
Ew.
I know. But before that, he said, here they come. And I go, well, what about when they stop coming? And he goes, that'll be sad. And then on a mountain he made us look over the treacherous pass one day. He turned to this kid, and he goes, I'm Buzz Lightyear. And the kid was like, just started crying.
That was the line that my husband liked the most. We were like, nobody's going to believe that Buzz Lightyear killed 4 people. I fucking lost it.
Oh my God. Yeah. We would just be dead.
Yeah. My husband read it. I was like, because I know your voice, so I can hear you every word. And I'm like, what do you think? And he goes, this is fucking hilarious. And so now he's reading the rest of it, which is great.
It's a little dark in parts too.
Yeah.
You don't expect.
It gets, even that story, it's you're wanting to know what happened. And then at the end, it's you guys actually fighting, and then you getting the power. You're like, I think I might be killing Tim Allen. And then it talks about your parents, and it's just it was just poetic.
Oh, because he told me I had a good childhood, and that's why I was so nice. And I'm like, no, I didn't. He goes, yes, you did. I'm like, don't tell me I had a good childhood.
You have good memories with your mother. And you were like, no, I don't.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, my blood was boiling. I was going to kill Tim Allen.
Yeah.
That's how this ended. There was no private plane for me, no matter what.
Yeah.
I was going to kill him.
It was so perfect.
Thank you.
Great. So you guys have to check it out. It's a great book. And it's called Confessions of a, or is it just Stay at Work Mom?
The paperback is Stay at Work Mom, but if you look up Don't Wait Up, either one.
Okay.
I just changed it for the paperback, and then it was supposed to have a Barbie doll on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we didn't get the rights to Barbie. So it was just some blonde, thing that you
no.
can't tell if she's a doll that's supposed to
Okay.
be me and she's happy in a skirt. And I'm like, but I couldn't be like a pain in the ass anymore.
Yeah.
I didn't want to be a pain in the ass at all. I'm a people
Right,
pleaser. And then
right.
I hate them.
I mean, it's
and
my
hate
favorite
myself.
mom book. It's my favorite working
thank
mom.
you.
I mean, like,
Thank you.
it's so good. It's so good. It's
Thank you.
brilliant.
It made it worth having them.
Okay. Can we say your kids' names and husbands' names for this?
Yeah. It's in the book.
Okay, great. So for this podcast, I was asking somebody to share their life-changing experience.
Yes.
Which one would you like to share?
I think because a lot of people talk about kids changing their lives, and it's a lot. I mean, it's just a whole huge change. But I would say it's also in the book, but my brain surgery was like a huge life-changing.
Okay.
It was life-changing in the way that I don't know if it was life-changing as much as it was like the other shoe dropping kind of thing.
Yeah. Traumatic.
Yeah. I'll say traumatic.
Okay.
But then again, there's my kids. But I would say this is at least different.
Yeah.
Okay. So
give it to us. How's it start? When was it?
So I started having headaches, these headaches that were like pulsing in the front of my headaches. And I worked in comedy rooms. I was working on King of Queens at the time. And I was always like laughing.
How old were you
in the
about
room.
this time?
22.
Okay. I was like 22 and you're on the kid.
No, I think I was like 29, probably, or 31, something like that.
Okay.
My brain, it's not.
Yeah.
I don't remember some things. So what happened was I started having these headaches, and I was so like cavalier about it. Casual about it. I thought that it was all the Splenda I was drinking. And I wasn't ready to like give it up, but I was like, this must be the Splenda. It must be.
Okay.
And it was just this pulsing. Then I had this thing where I went to talk, and I went to say something about my brother's wedding. And I said something like, I went to say something about the bridesmaids' dresses. And I said, like total word salad. It was crazy because the words in my head did not come out.
Right.
So my brother was like, you should have an MRI, CAT scan. So I did. So I was on a different show then by that time. And the doctor called while I was getting notes on a script and right before, and he said, they found something. And I'm like, just like dripping tears on the script, still getting notes, big notes. And huge notes, page 1 rewrite, have to have it tomorrow. But the doctor said it's not cancer. So then it's called Arnold Chiari Malformation. I didn't even look it up because I was like, I didn't associate it with the headaches. I associated with like the word salad thing and just something that happened. He said, you won't die from it.
Okay.
But he was wrong. So then I found this new doctor, and because it got to the point where my headaches were so bad and they happened whenever I laughed. So I had to crawl out of Bad Santa. I had to crawl out of Team America, like in the movie theater. I couldn't watch Jackass. My husband and I would watch Jackass all the time, and I would be like, my head. Then it got to the point where I would roll out of bed, and I would have to roll out of bed.
And it's called Arnold what?
It's called, I'll get into it, but it's called Arnold Chiari Malformation.
Okay.
I'd roll out of bed onto the floor and then get up really slowly. And then I found a new doctor. We tried different things for a while. And then I said, oh, I do have this thing called Arnold Chiari Malformation. And he was like, bring in the MRI immediately. So like 3 weeks later, I was in New York looking for like movie tickets, and I found the discs, and I was like, I'll bring these in. He looked at them, and then he called me into his office, and he used the button on the bottom of his desk, and he closed the door, and he started writing furiously, and he's like, you're a nice gal. I want you to be okay. You're a nice gal. And he's like the most calming guy. So he sent me to a neurosurgeon like the next day. And I still didn't and then I looked it up.
Right.
And what it is, it's going to look dirty, but what it is that when you're born, when your brain develops, your cerebellum tonsils are here.
Okay.
So when fluid rises in your brain, it goes down through your spine.
Okay.
But when you have Arnold Chiari Malformation, it's like in there.
Okay.
So the fluid rises in your brain and drains very slowly, and that's what causes the pounding headaches.
Crazy.
So I was born with it, but I didn't become symptomatic till then. Right. And then as you're like running and doing all these things, it goes deeper, and until it's not operable. So, and then if it's not operable, then you're probably going to wind up like probably won't live.
Right.
Because it controls your breathing.
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus.
And if you get into a coughing fit or if you're ever rear-ended again. So what happened was I remembered that I was on my way to Barry's boot camp and I got rear-ended by this guy in this big truck. And I didn't think anything of it except what an asshole. And also I was going to be late for Barry's boot camp and not get a treadmill first, which is a big deal. So I went anyway. And this woman was like, excuse me, like roll down your window. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, your car's on fire. And I was like, that's fine. I want to get a treadmill. So anyway, I remember that that's what did it. But when they find it in babies, they operate because when they grow up, they are behind mentally. I don't know what I can say.
Yeah.
But then I was like, wait, I'm finding out now? And then whenever I was late, I would be like, what do you want from me?
Right.
But I was like, I am an overachiever. I should be in like an institution, wearing a helmet, finger painting and eating Oreos.
I'm crushing it right now.
I'm crushing it. And also, do I want to be?
Right.
So anyway, so then the neurosurgeon looked at the x-rays and he was like, or the MRI, and he was like, oh, you have to have surgery. I thought he was going to give me helpful hints, tips on what not to do.
Right.
But he said that it was very close to being inoperable. I had to have surgery in the next 2 weeks. And it was our 1 year anniversary. And we had this trip to Cabo planned. So the whole trip to Cabo was like vacillating, is that a word? Between hysterically crying, shaking, and like having fun, like just putting it out. And then on our way home from the airport, I had to have my 1 week pre-op appointment. And then we found out this guy was doing my EKG or whatever. And I looked up and he goes, and I was like, what? You're not supposed to make faces. I go, how is it? And he was like, it's normal for you, I'm sure, or something like that. Then they called me immediately, or I was still there, and they said that I had like these aortic aneurysms. So I needed to get clearance from I was like, it's all happening. It's all falling apart. I'm dying.
Oh my God.
And then I became like, if I live, they were able to operate, but it was like, I had to go to a cardiologist, and it's just this thing that I can't get life insurance. And it's just this, but it's all from my mother being in utero, not taking care of herself. And also had a twin sister who died, but that was kind of like, it's not to be depressing. It was actually fine.
Right.
But she was to term, and we were both delivered very early.
Okay.
And because she died, but I think she was like sitting on my neck. Or,
and that's how it happened.
Yeah. And also my mom was supposed to be on bed rest, and then it didn't fully develop my brain.
So what was the surgery?
So the surgery is they go in and they cut out I have to say about this whole experience, leading up to it, I was like, oh my God, if I just get to go to Wood Ranch Grill one more time. I'd never been to Wood Ranch Grill. I was like, if I get to live, I'm going to go to Wood Ranch Grill. Like, why Wood Ranch Grill?
Great barbecue chicken salad. Great.
Oh, that's why. Okay. That's why. So what they do is they cut out one of your cerebellum tonsils, and they put like a mesh thing in there. And the ICU was amazing. It was the best 2 hours of my life. It was sheer bliss. I loved it. And
why did you love the ICU?
Because I was on so much morphine.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
The next 72 hours were the most painful of my life because your brain swells and then it stops swelling.
Oh, shit.
And I had the hiccups, which is from like blood. But the best thing that happened was that it doesn't come back. I could laugh again. I couldn't believe it.
Okay.
But also this woman called me who my doctor gave her my number, and she said that she needed it. And she said, but I'm not going to have it because I'm traveling and whatever. I'm not going to do it because I'm traveling in 2 weeks. And then I said, it was so painless. It was not. It was the best thing I ever did. You will not regret it. Totally your choice. But I just want you to know that I did not feel any pain. And it was really, and then she called me from the ICU like 2 weeks later. She didn't go on her trip. She was wasted. And she thanked me because they said it was almost inoperable. Which made me so happy. And then she said, let's have tea sometime. And then she never got in touch with me again, which I thought was like, I thought I was getting like, okay. But anyway, she probably has no.
Well, because how many people have this? Like, it seems
it's
so
rare. It is so rare.
I also didn't know your cerebellum had tonsils.
It has tonsils.
That's
and they're
so
kind
weird.
of important.
Yeah, it sounds like it.
I think math is in there.
Jesus.
And like directions, like whether or not you can follow directions, which I couldn't begin with. But yeah, it was real. That was definitely at least life-changing for the moment.
Right.
It definitely made me appreciate things.
And that's before the kids.
That's before the kids. If I had tried to have a baby before that, which I was trying, and I pushed out a baby, I would have died.
Holy shit.
Yeah. So anytime I would have had a coughing fit or gotten rear-ended again, and we actually got rear-ended shortly after that.
So this is this is many years ago.
Yeah.
Do you have any residual thing from it physically, but also emotionally?
Not really, except that the show I was on did not send flowers. I don't like flowers, but I can't get over it.
Yeah.
And then also,
yeah,
I was like, wait a minute.
Brain surgery.
Yeah. I had brain
Send
surgery.
roses.
You know what was great about it was that it was good for Todd and I because he really stepped up. And but then when they only called me into surgery, I was like, wait a minute. I remember the last thing I said before I went out is I said, oh, and I had one of those halos because I had 2 screws in my head, 2 holes. And I was like, what happened here? Did you go in this way? And it was one of those halos that keeps your head straight. One of those,
yeah.
My brother said he thought when he came in, he was going to see a cartoon bandage with a bug.
Oh my God.
And then the other thing was, it was just, I said they were putting those socks on me, and I said, and there was a jelly roller thing that my head was going to go in between. They said, I go, is it like Grey's Anatomy here? Do people hook up?
Do people hook up?
And then I went to sleep. Out. It was the best. And it was like a 6-hour surgery, I think.
Damn.
So they took their time. Yeah, but now I felt like for a long time, the other shoe dropped. Things were too good. The other shoe dropped. And now I paid my dues for that time. But now I'm kind of like, I'm due. I'm overdue. Yeah, I'm overdue.
Yeah.
For the next thing.
How did you get through that when it was fresh?
Afterwards?
Yeah.
I went back to work way too soon. Yeah. I did it at the end of a hiatus. So I only missed the 2-day retreat. And then I went back to work and I was just so not. I was fine. I was still working, but I was definitely should not have gone back to work. I have such a problem resting because I feel so guilty for not always busy, always being busy doing something, which is based on my mother never doing anything, I think.
Right.
But I really get nothing done. But I was trying to do laundry the minute I got home. It was crazy.
Oh, no.
I couldn't stay in bed. I couldn't nap.
Yeah.
My parents came to visit, but they wouldn't admit that I had brain surgery. So we had to take them out for dinner. And I was just like,
oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was just crazy. I didn't take enough time off of it, out of it. And then I had off from it. Then I had major PTSD for a long time because I was sure it was going to come back. I was afraid to drive and get rear-ended again. And it was, I think
was there a potential for it to come back?
No.
No, okay.
But it did. And then I called the doctor and they said, no, it didn't. And then I didn't feel anything. I was like, I'm having them again. Yeah, there was PTSD. There was more PTSD from when I had skin cancer.
Really?
Yeah, because that was first of all, that was so gnarly. But also every time I saw something on my face, I was like, I have skin cancer. And then it would fall off and it was chocolate or a crumb. Todd would be like, your skin cancer's on your pillow.
You're I don't think that's how
this
it
is why I
works.
have skin cancer because I'm too stressed out because I have to work and, have to work in this industry that's terrible. And then, while I'm yelling, it's on the floor.
Yeah.
I have to pick it up.
When was the skin cancer?
The skin cancer was after I had kids, and it was just this little red dot here. It wasn't anything. And then it turned out to be squamous cell, which goes really deep.
Oh, it was a red dot.
It was a red dot. It wasn't anything gross.
Right.
And then they biopsied it. And then my doctor, I forgot about it.
Yeah.
And my doctor called me 2 weeks later and he was, sorry it took so long. It's 2 different kinds of cancer and whatever. So then that sucked. But I was like, it's not brain surgery. And then that one, I had more PTSD. Also, I looked like an avatar, early days avatar, because my forehead was out to here.
Yeah.
I had 18 stitches. It was crazy. I had major PTSD from that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you get through the PTSD? How do you think? Did you go to therapy? Did you? I
did talk about it in therapy. This was the thing about the brain surgery. And I guess about this, that was freeing. I was very worried about the brain surgery. I was crying a lot. And so I would try to put it out of my head, but literally, but it was, It was so hard. It was scary. I was like, I'm going to die.
Yeah.
Because then there was a Grey's Anatomy right beforehand where the woman, they were like, you don't just have brain surgery. You could die. Like we were in Mexico and we watched that.
No.
The DVD of it.
Before
Like,
your...
yes, you could die. So it was definitely terrifying.
Right.
And I was like, this is it.
Right.
Back then, you didn't have texts that you'd have to like
Mhm.
furiously. Every time I think I'm having a heart attack, which is every night, I delete every text.
You delete every text?
Every like incriminating text. I go through my phone and I'm like deleting, and then I text my husband in his room and I'm like, well, looks like I'm gonna die tonight. So
it makes you. Were you a hypochondriac before?
Yeah, but I was like the worst kind because I would always just assume I was dying, but not go to the doctor.
Right.
So that was not great. Yeah.
I have friends like that.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah.
But then now I would. I mean, I let it sit there forever because that doctor said it's not life or death.
Yeah.
So I was like,
and then you find out it can be.
It is. It's almost death. It's almost death.
Yeah.
But the skin cancer one, I definitely am still, because that was like a whole deal to do like Mohs surgery and all this stuff. Like I definitely freak out more about that.
My mom, who you've met my mom at the Christmas thing or whatever, she just had it taken off here.
Was it the squamous cell one?
It was basal cell.
Okay.
And so she had that taken off, but because it's right, and by the way, I'm pointing up like where the middle of where your mustache would be. I don't know what this is called.
That's where my mustache is.
That's where my mustache is as well. And she had it taken off, and the plastic surgeon, and then like immediately would do the Mohs surgery, and then he fixed it, but then he didn't like it because there was a huge line.
Oh.
And so she just had it redone like a few weeks ago, and it already healed like twice as fast, but she still does not use sunscreen.
Oh, really?
Still. And this is her second time with a basal cell. The other one was on her chest.
Oh my God.
I'm like, but now like with my daughter, I'm like, and my dad also has something called pemphigus foliaceus, which is like leukemia of the skin.
Oh.
So both of my parents have that.
Is that curable?
Yeah, he's in remission.
Oh, good. Yeah. Okay.
But it's like you have to go through chemo. Do you have like
you do?
Yeah. But so I just lather Everly. I mean, I lather myself up too, but like with Everly, I'm telling her dad, I'm like, I know we're thinking they're kids and they can get a sunburn every now and then. I'm like, she can't. She just can't.
Yeah. No. And also it's like, this is from, because I have very fair skin, this is 1,000% from me going to Jones Beach as a kid and like slathering baby oil on and using tinfoil and like laying out. But I have friends who still lay out now and I'm like, it doesn't even look good.
No.
You know, I mean, a spray tan, yes.
Yeah.
But I don't even do my face. I won't even put a spray, like a fake sun on my face.
Yeah. I used to do, the tanning booths.
Oh my God. And then relaxing. You smell like you're cooking.
Oh, you're cooking. I'm like, you're putting oil on your flesh and then just cooking for 15 minutes.
Yes. Oh my God. All the time. I went on spring break to Miami and I remember I'm like, I have to go to use the tanning bed somewhere.
I want one with just the warmth and not the UV rays.
Oh my God.
That's the best.
That's the best.
And just back in the
womb. I like an MRI too.
You like a good MRI? I did. So loud.
I got into it, but it was like, ba-dum, ba-dum, ba-dum. So loud. They gave me a rear view mirror in the first one. And so I could see out.
Right.
And I saw this woman getting out of an MRI tube and like walking off. And I was like, I just died.
Oh my God.
But it was my spirit.
Just leaving your body.
I just died.
So PTSD, how did you handle, did you handle them both? Because you said you got through it in therapy. You talked about it.
No, I did talk about it in therapy. Yeah.
And that helped.
And then I was scared. Yeah.
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 Did you handle both PTSDs similarly?
Yeah, because I thought it was back.
Yeah, okay.
But the PTSD from the brain thing, once I knew that it wasn't coming back, I think I was okay.
Okay.
But that was like I never wanted it to seem like a big surgery because I didn't want to think that I didn't want the attention. Mm-hmm. Flowers would have been nice. I hate flowers, by the way. Hate them because they just die. It's the thought, like maybe a card, maybe those big funny cards, like that you open up and like, it's like 3 feet tall.
Right. Just something. Acknowledge
anything. It was like a hit show.
You're also like paid for your brain, and that's what they operated on.
Thank you. A lot of jokes. They took the funny part. But I, yeah, I mean, I think the PTSD, I'm trying to remember. I think the PTSD from that was probably bad too.
Okay.
Just in that, like, also I was like shocked that I have a brain. Like, what are they going to go in there and find? I remember we ran into the brain surgeon after I'd had my son at the Grove, and I was like, threw the baby at him, and I was like, look, Dr. King had a baby.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it was good.
Oh,
So I was very thankful.
Right.
I was very thankful for those doctors and for insurance.
Yeah, fucking modern medicine.
Yeah,
Jesus.
yeah. I mean, now they probably do it outside your head.
Right?
They almost flew me to Chicago to the main guy. Only like 2 doctors did that surgery at the time. So they almost flew me to the mentor of this guy.
Oh, wow.
But I mean, I don't know if it was all expense paid.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sure they, no.
Probably not. So, but I was like, oh, I get to go to Chicago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think there was any, I was supposed to like breathe into that thing where they show your breath by like how far the ball goes up. But I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I didn't keep my neck brace on long enough.
I could see you just immediately going back. Yeah.
I immediately like did laundry the first day because I was like, I guess I'll do the laundry.
Yeah. There's something that like right after I had Everly, the second day I was in jeans walking around doing steps. And everybody was like, what are you?
Jeans?
No, they were still like the maternity ones,
Right.
but like smaller, right?
Right.
Like when you're like 3 or 4 months or whatever. Right. And everybody's like, why the fuck are you in jeans?
Yeah, I was already working on, like, I remember when I was pushing Phoebe out, I was like, I have to think of a pilot. I did not want people to think that I was not working, even though I wasn't even. Couldn't think of anything in that state.
Yeah.
I'm like, what about a girl that, like, and then with Jesse, right after I had him, I was like, usually people eat whatever you want in the hospital because now you can. And I was like, I'm on a diet. When I saw my legs for the first time after I had my son, I was hysterically crying.
Because they were just what?
Because I could see they were gigantic. I was gigantic.
Yeah.
I had gained so much weight and I just didn't even enjoy it.
Yeah.
Like I didn't even.
The whole pregnancy?
No, I hated it. Did you like it? I miss it.
I did with Everly, but I've had a lot of people that might have enjoyed their first one and then hated their second one.
Right.
Yeah.
I think the moving, and Jesse never moved, so I was always on that monitor.
Terrified, yeah.
Yeah. He just looks lazy, it turns out. But they really are the way they are in the womb outside in life. Like he slept in my bed until not that long ago and he had to be pulled out. I had to do a C-section with him and he had to be pulled
out of
He never dropped and I was like 2 weeks late.
Oh my God.
Yeah, he would have stayed in there forever.
Yeah.
I liked the moving. I liked all that. I hated how much weight I was gaining. Yeah. I had this pair of maternity pants that were a cautionary tale among other like other pregnant women heard about them. They were a size XXL maternity pants from Old Navy.
Yes.
So that's like middle America.
Yeah.
It was a garbage bag.
Yeah.
It was a hefty bag with legs.
You just had a blanket.
I had a blanket. Yeah. I was in a bed like that guy, Walt or something, who just laid in his bed and couldn't get out of the house.
You need a crane.
You need a crane.
Lift it.
Yeah.
I get it.
So that was traumatizing.
Yeah.
I had PTSD from that.
Yeah.
But not jeans, but I remember being like, I'm on a diet. And then
I've got a question. This is so random, but since we're talking about motherhood, because we've had some people on the show that are in the industry, and that women, especially when they have kids, they're like, you get the mom brain. Did you have that at all? Because you have to write all the time.
Yeah. I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. Yeah. Like just
like your sharpness, because you're still like, even reading your book, I'm like, damn, just like fucking sharp.
Yeah, that was a while after, but I think so. Did you have it?
I still have it.
Yeah, I think I think you change a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, it's exhausting.
Right.
And you know what? It doesn't get better. It gets worse.
When they get older, fuck me.
Yeah, it gets worse. Like girls, and then it's so much, and it's heartbreaking because you see what girls do to each other. And
that's the thing. I'm like, I already see it. And she's 5, and she'll have people that pick on her at playgrounds. And I'm like,
my God,
I can still hit you.
Yeah. Oh, I get into fights with kids all the time.
God.
I get into fights all the time. But
we're like not supposed to. But
I know, and I text them from her phone. It's like a whole thing. It's bad. It's
I'm going to enjoy that.
Yeah.
That's the part that I'll look forward to that. That's good.
I text people from my son's phone, like apologizing. And I'm like, I'm learning to mature and whatever. And they're like, wow, that's not what we expect. No, one kid, I talked about this on Heather's podcast, where one kid is always like, hey, Liz, I'm like, hi,
Because they know
James.
it's you.
Yeah, they know
That's
it's me. Hey,
amazing.
Liz. I am learning and growing.
Okay, for the end of it, what is the funniest lesson you learned through all of that, through the brain surgery, the skin, everything?
Oh, well, I like appreciated life. Oh, that I could die.
Yeah.
That I could die any minute. The squamous cell, this little red dot.
Yeah.
I had to have two Mo's like that day. I was lying there on the thing, and there was smoke coming out of my. You know how they have to ground you, and then I was like, "Is that me? Is that from?" They burn your whatever. That was terrifying, but
and you're awake for that.
Yeah,
but numbed. Yeah,
yeah. And then that was yeah, that I could die.
Yeah,
that I actually have blood. Like I was had such
You're
low
impervious to it
self-esteem
before that.
Yeah, and also such low self-esteem that I was like, they gave me blood too. Like I got, like anything. But
Yeah.
yes, that I could die. That I was a house of cards, and that we all are. Yeah.
Yeah. And that never goes away now.
Never.
I know. Once you
I'm
like
waiting
tap
for
into
the
that
next thing.
darkness, it never goes away.
Something has to happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how I am.
Impervious. Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm impervious.
What's next? What do you want to promote? Anything? You wanna, people stalk you on social media?
I'm working on, I have a pilot for NBC called Stumble that I'm doing with my brother. That's a mockumentary on Cheer.
Yes.
On Cheer.
Oh, I just saw this. It looks huge. Oh, I'm so excited.
It's with Monica Aldama she's not starring in it, but we got to meet her, and she is doing it with us. And then I have another thing that I'm writing at Vox.
Okay.
So,
busy.
Stuff. Busy, but like I have to make my own schedule. I like camp out at this restaurant. It's embarrassing because they always put like the chairs upside down an hour early. So I'm sitting around like they just try to shame me out of there. They start counting the restaurant out, and they just
actually get the hint. We'll just
Yeah, and I'm like, no, I'm staying. No. I'm staying till 9 o'clock, or I'm telling on you.
Yeah.
I'm telling. You're not supposed to close till 9. That means mopping. If I slip on this floor.
I used to be always the last one at the West Hollywood Starbucks off Santa Monica.
The thing is about that is that I've been to that one. They close early too.
They do, and they do the thing. They start
mopping
cleaning around
the
your
cone,
feet,
cleaning around my feet
with the mop.
Then I bust my own table.
Yeah,
because I feel bad.
Oh, then I feel bad on the way out, and I'm like, hey, sorry, and then I'll put more money in the tip jar. There
was one time, I'll just say really quick, I was on the phone with my daughter, and I was at Beverly Glen, and I'm like, I'm going to be home soon. I just have to finish. I'll be home soon. And I wasn't, because I didn't finish. And then the woman's counting out the register, and they're mopping around my feet, and I go to leave, and she goes, did you finish? And I go, no, I didn't. Thanks to you.
But I'll be back tomorrow.
I'll be back tomorrow.
Same
and you're
time.
Staying open. I'm telling. That's what I always say. I'm telling. I don't say it, but I think it. And then I tip more.
Oh my God. Thank you so much for being on.
Thank you. Yeah. This was fun.
That's great.
It was so much fun. I'm so happy to see you.
Me
This
too.
is awesome. You have this whole thing.
That's a whole thing.